Hey y'all, I got a confession to make. Um, I'm not a Christian anymore. I, uh, I'm not a Christian, and it's a long story. You know, um, it really started with just the way I see certain Christians move and certain pastors move, and just the hypocrisy in the church and all of the things that I've been through for all these years. Not to mention, my mom, she's been a Christian for so long, but yet she is like the worst, like, defender of the faith. She's such a hypocrite in the way she does certain things, guys. And yeah, man, I just gotta be honest, man. And I try to think about things like, the scripture and the things in the Bible don't make sense to me. Noah and Jonah, being swallowed by a whale. And at some point, you have to grow up, guys. You have to grow up. And I've been through a lot of hard times, man. And I looked around, and no one was there to help me, and a lot of trials and difficulties. And I've been asking this question: if God is real, then why does not God come in and help me and relieve all this stress? Why isn't God answering my prayer? And at some point, guys, I've been a Christian for such a long time. At some point, you just got to give it up. You just got to give up the fairy tale, guys. You just got to give up the jokes. It's all a hoax. And at some point, guys, I came to realize that I think the government may have a hand in this Christian thing, and the Bible, how could the Bible be written by man? If man is imperfect, but God is perfect, how can the Bible be written by man? And I don't want you guys to click off, because I just want to, get this stuff off my chest before you guys click off and decide to unsubscribe, because it's real. It's real. And this is how I feel. And I also have another confession to make, guys. A friend of mine decided to share everything that I just shared with you just now. And this was what I would call his primary reason as to why he chose to no longer follow Jesus. Whether it was issue with understanding the Bible, whether it was the way his mom practiced her faith, whether it was harm from the pastor and just false words from the pulpit. All of these things that I just brought up, guys, a combination of this stuff and much, much more has become a quote-unquote legitimate excuse as to why, not me, by the way, a particular friend of mine chose to turn away from Christ. And the issue with this, guys, is that oftentimes those who choose to turn from God unfortunately make an emotional, illogical decision. And everything I just shared with you guys is not baked, unfortunately, not baked in facts. Matter of fact, I'll just say this, guys, it's not baked in the fact. Forget about facts, in the fact. Now, what is the fact? The fact is one thing: whether or not you got harmed by the way certain Christians chose to walk out their faith, whether the pastor harmed you in some way, whether your parents did not practice their faith accordingly, and maybe they may have preached to you, but for whatever reason you just cannot connect the dots because their life looks contrary to what they've been teaching you for all these years. Whether it's just confusion in regards to some of the biblical narratives, whether you think this is a European white man religion that was pushed on you or forced on you, whether you think that this is something that the government or some type of political figures decided to come together and orchestrate in order to control the population, regardless of how you feel and what you think, everything has to be baked in facts. True, but everything has to be baked ultimately in the fact. And this is something that I encourage every believer to do. If you have a critic in your life, Listen to them, hear them out. And you don't have to have the answers to everything that I just shared with you. It's good to have the answers for as much things as you can, but you don't necessarily have to have the answer to why or how it is that, for example, Jonah survived in the belly of a whale for 3 days, right? Or, the history of Christianity. Obviously, this stuff is important, but you don't have to have the answer. It's good to have the answer. It's important to have the answer. Like, study to show yourself approved. But study this one fact. Specialize in this one fact. What is it? The fact that Jesus Christ, according to scripture, according to archaeology, according to history, lived. Jesus of Nazareth did live, did walk the earth, did die by crucifixion. There is so much evidence to that. But even more important than that, he lived, he died, but he rose from the dead. So because we know that he lived, because we know that he was crucified, and because we know that he said that he will rise from the dead, the question is this: did he rise or not? And Christianity, guys, ultimately the truth of it, or the quote-unquote falsehood of it, really relies on one particular event, one particular fact, or what some may think fiction. Did Jesus Christ rise from the dead? Now, if he did not rise from the dead, then forget about all of this, guys. Now we got to figure out what is truth. But if he did, then we have to deal with that fact. So study that fact, because it is, and use that as your primary argument against the critics that decide that, for whatever reason, Christianity cannot be true simply because of all these other mediocre things. But when you bring them to the cross, and that's exactly what I did. I brought my friend to Jesus, to the crucifixion and the resurrection, and he had nothing to rebuttal. So once again, guys, there's a lot of reasons as to why people choose not to believe, but bring them back to the primary thing, the only thing that matters. Did Jesus Christ rise from the dead? If he did not, you gotta provide me with some type of evidence that he didn't. But if he did, which I believe he did, because we have a mountain full of evidence, that is how we literally stand for the faith and oppose falsehood. Christ rose, he rose indeed. Now, therefore, we ought to take what he said in the scriptures seriously and figure out exactly how to, or I guess, come to the end of ourselves and realize that we got a decision to make. Either we receive them or we don't. Anyways, that's all I got on this one, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I hope this may have helped some of you. Until next time, take it easy. Peace.